what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Lineage Break, a Grand Archive TCG podcast. I am your host, Cam, and with me, as always, is the glue, Steve.
Hi, guys.
We're back. It's been, all right, so I was telling Steve this off camera. Listen, all right, we're busy guys. Not that we don't love you. It's been a busy couple of weeks here. And so we are now recording, I think, 2 or 3 weeks was the last time we sat down in the booth.
Yeah. We've had a few people from the Discord come to our store championships, and they got to.
Oh, that's true.
They got to peek inside and see our closet, and we're very surprised on how small it is in here.
It is very very small and dark. We had the light on. Somebody, I think it was a couple weeks ago, was like, "You guys should work on your lighting," and I was like, "Yeah, that's a fair point." The light was on. It turned off again. You guys know how it goes.
Yeah, our lighting is dying and spotty.
We'll figure it out. It's fine. So welcome back to the show. Since it's been a couple of weeks, we actually have a fair bit of news. I guess all of this news sort of happened this week, but we have a fair bit of news to talk about. All very exciting. Some of it more exciting than others for us, but all of it globally exciting. God, I feel like I have to sneeze. Anyways, so Ascent in Houston, the event that Steve and I are going to. Woo! They made an announcement that due to the sales of Supporter Pack 1, so thank everybody for buying Supporter Pack that went to, AX and Gen Con and all of the regionals that have already happened that we'll talk about a little bit later. They said due to those sales, they have doubled the Ascent prize support, which is wild.
It's literally the most cool thing I've ever seen.
It's great. Game do.
Yeah. It's just like, hey, here's your prizing. Just kidding.
Well, yeah, it's like... I don't know. We're too sweet on those guys. We got to be a little bit, a little bit harsher.
I don't want to be
on the dev team.
Simp for devs.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's like they're not selling more tickets, right? Like this would be a great thing to do. Like even we run events here and we do that. Like when we get a certain amount of people, we put more prize support in, and that means we get more people, right? But like they can't sell more tickets. It's not like they're doing more advertising. Right. It's just like. Yep, you get double the money for all of those people that already bought tickets. I guess it feels now slightly worse for the people that still don't have tickets.
I guess, yeah. I should look at it from the outside, right? Like,
right.
For someone who doesn't have a ticket.
I mean, it's cool, right? I guess as far as like a PR thing goes, it just means that the people that didn't get a ticket, if they didn't want one already, now they're like, oh my God, I really got to go to the next one.
FOMO is like real.
Right. So yeah, it's a 20 grand tournament now, I think. And I don't particularly care about the money because, Steve and I suck and we probably won't make any money. But the really cool thing is that now top 32 get that regional / Ascent exclusive national invite card that is Orb of Regret, which I really want.
Yeah, and top 32 is definitely more attainable than
for sure.
First or second.
Yeah, 32 is, I think it's a cut to top 32 for day 2. So it's just like make day 2 of the event. You get your Orb of Regret. You also get it's a Tide Diviner promo. It's the top 32 promo, which is super cute.
Yeah.
So, water cards, cleric cards. So yeah, that's super exciting. And we are, really close now.
7 weeks, I think?
Yeah, it's in spitting distance.
Yeah.
So we're...
absolutely zero testing in FTC.
Yeah, we played like a game or two, but that was before the whole list was out anyway. Yeah. So we really haven't done a lot. We've actually, we've been spending our time testing for regionals and store championships. So before we get to that, in other Ascent news, before I get too off topic, we've also announced our second Ascent event.
Yay! Unfortunate for every Australian that is coming to Texas.
Well, they're just going to double dip, right? I mean, like, if I was them, I would.
Oh,
right?
yeah, totally, 100%. But also, like, if I bought a ticket to America just to find out that my backyard is now going to be Ascent, I'd be a little bit mad, just a bit.
No, should be excited. We get to play in 2 events.
Yeah.
So we've Ascent Auckland in New Zealand, which is in December.
Yeah, it's taking place the 2nd and the 3rd of December. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I think I forgot to look it up when they announced it, but the hotel that it's at looks super familiar, and I'd like to check. There's a very particular hotel in New Zealand that hosted the first New Zealand Magic Pro Tour there, and they hosted the first Flesh and Blood national championships there, and it looks like that hotel. I'd have to figure that out though.
Yeah.
I think that would be super cute. But so we have our second Ascent. Congratulations to all of our friends in Oceania that get to attend that. Unfortunately, a little bit too far for your old friends here at Lineage Break.
We're gonna stay continental, I think. Yeah, at least for a bit.
Yeah, continental is, I think, totally reasonable. Jesus Christ, I can't even imagine the flights to New Zealand.
I'm happy, at least I should say. I shouldn't say upset. I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's Fire Spirit still.
Yep. Yeah. So I think this sort of cements what we at least think that they're going to do with the spirits, because it was announced a while ago that the 8th knee promos at Houston would not be the only time she would be printed. She would be printed one more time, right?
Right.
So this is going to be the final printing of 8th knee. And I think it sort of makes sense that both of these are in the FTC season, and I assume we're probably not getting another Ascent until probably a few months into next year, if that's what they're planning on.
Correct.
So I assume that they're going to do these spirits sort of seasonally, that the couple of Ascents that are in each season will get a spirit. So hopefully, next season we'll get water or something, wind, I guess. But yeah, super cool. All of the prize support is in Monopoly money, so I don't actually know what that means.
Yeah.
It could be a $10 prize to first place. It could be $100 million.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all in weird Monopoly money, however you guys pay for things down there.
I don't know. Everything's backwards, right? It's printed backwards?
Yeah,
or is that just the toilets?
I don't know. Yeah. We love you, New Zealand. We mean no harm by it.
I absolutely love New Zealand. No natural predators. It's perfect there.
And there's lots of predators here. So
I'm just saying,
yeah,
you can go to Hobbiton.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You get to visit Weta Workshop.
Weta Workshop. 95% of Kamen Rider and Super Sentai is filmed there.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lovely place that I'll never afford to be able to go to.
I wouldn't say never.
It's a lot of money. Well, listen, when the team wants to fly us out, do commentary.
Right.
Well,
right.
Let me know. I mean, my schedule's open.
Right.
So.
Hey, I will bail. I have a convention that weekend, but I will bail on it.
For the free plane ticket.
For a free plane ticket to New Zealand to do commentary for you.
Yeah, we also don't have passports. Don't worry about it.
I will go to the passport office in Boston and get it printed today.
I was looking at a slightly off topic. Don't flame me in the comments. I was so Flesh and Blood is doing their World Championship in Barcelona this year, and there was somebody that was doing a giveaway for a free plane ticket, and I was like, man, if I got that free plane ticket to Barcelona, how much would it cost for me to go to Barcelona? And I looked at it and was like, oh man, that's still too much money.
Wow.
You gotta pay $300 to get a fucking passport, and then you gotta pay to eat and pay for hotels.
Honestly,
it's $300 to get a passport.
You think it's that expensive?
I googled it.
No. The passport's fine, but
oh sure,
going to another country and eating.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I said, New Zealand's it's funny money.
I went to Italy. I spent $200 for the week.
I don't know if I go there and I'm a sultan because I have a $10 US dollar bill, right?
Things are just so certain things are just so much cheaper in other countries.
Yeah,
bottles of prosecco in Italy were $3.
That sounds pretty nice. Italy when?
It was €5 for a bottle of prosecco.
So Ascent in Italy, are we going?
Perhaps.
I think
it's an that's an expensive flight. I went to Rome.
It's like $1,000, right?
It was $1,600.
Oh, okay. All right,
it was not cheap.
Yeah.
It was not cheap. It was,
I think,
and I got cheap flight. It was $1,600 for 2 tickets.
Sure. Oh, okay. So it was $1,000.
Yeah. It was rough.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It was a long flight.
I can't do that. Oh, surely. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to our 5-hour flight to Houston, let alone the 16 hours across the.
Not 5 hours to Houston.
It is though. So it do be 5 hours. I do be looking at our itinerary.
That's
do be 5 hours. It's 4.5 maybe. Ooh.
So which one of us is bringing the laptop with the splitter so we can watch the same movie together?
Ooh, that's pretty cute. You have a Switch, Steve?
I do have a Switch.
What are we playing? I got a Switch.
We can play anything you want.
I don't know. I don't play video games anymore. What do the kids do these days?
I don't know.
We're playing that Pokemon League of Legends game.
I played a little bit of it.
I downloaded it and then subsequently deleted it after never playing it. That's what I do.
I'm pretty good at it.
Nice.
Ranked.
Wow. Jeez, challenger over here.
Not a challenger. Let's be real. Like
I had this. This is a Grand Archive podcast.
Yeah, we're way off topic here.
I'm gonna keep going. I bought. It was on sale, of course. I bought Final Fantasy X on sale to, of course, replay Final Fantasy X for probably the 100th time on my Switch. The unfortunate part about that game is they bundle it with X2. And because of that, the file is too big for me to download onto the Switch like internal memory. So it's just been sitting on my thing because I have to like go buy a.
You don't have an SD card for Switch?
Yeah, a micro SD. Yeah. Yeah, I bought the
that was
the
like
Lite,
the first thing.
the one that you know.
Oh,
so like it has like internal memory. I think it has like 32 gigs.
So like I bought the real Switch.
Yeah.
Like the big boy
gatekeeping.
Switch. Yeah. But that was like the first thing I bought because I only want digital games now because
no, I know, but like nothing's big enough to matter.
Who want
like I downloaded
the Digimon game is huge.
Well, sure, but Digimon sucks.
Whoa! That's a hot take. You can't say Digimon sucks during Digimon month.
All right, so we're a Grand Archive podcast. I think
it's Digimon month.
I think if they do another Ascent, or when they do another Ascent,
Ascent Boston when?
I think it's probably going to be in SCA. I think that's where I would expect it to be, is like Japan or something.
Yeah.
Singapore, I don't know, because they have a big crowd in SCA. So I think, and I think that's the same for nationals as well. Like I don't think that there's a European nationals this year, which is unfortunate. I hear that that's like a distribution issue. There's like only one distributor that's carrying Grand Archive in the EU, and they suck. Is at least what I've heard. Don't want to drag anybody's name in the mud, but so yeah, I assume that the next one will probably be SEA, and then maybe the fourth one will be back in the US, and of course it'll be in Boston. It'll be in Worcester. It's very affordable, Worcester, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
SCG used to run an event here every year, so it's very I can send you the links,
Yeah.
Aldius. I'll send the devs a message. So this is probably Houston's probably the only Ascent that we're going to for a while, just because travel's hard. But
yeah,
other events that we could go to that we didn't get to this season, but hopefully we will next, is regionals, and we had a couple of those last weekend. I was fortunate enough to be able to do commentary for the Red Riot Games regional in Canada with our friend Red Zone Rogue. That was a great time. We had a good time. And then there was the regional at the Haven Games in Florida as well. Shout out to those gentlemen and their podcast that I can't remember the name of. That is on Adventure Code Gaming on YouTube. We'll leave a link, something like that. I forget the name of it, but Recollection, that's the name of the show. We did it. Ooh. My brain's firing today.
Recollected that.
I recollected that one.
Woo.
So yeah, it was super exciting. I kind of did you get to catch any of the like coverage of either of those events?
I listened to some of yours. Yeah, there was a Win Xander list in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
That deck looked sweet.
Yeah, it was so it was a surprisingly open field, is what I felt like from watching the two events. Obviously, like you see the boogeymen all over the place. Your Win Lorraine, your Fire Lorraine, whatever, Fire Arcane Ride, but. There was a lot of people trying to reinvent the wheel, which is sweet. Even the Red Riot Games event was won by a aggro Fire Xander player. And then I was talking about this a little bit earlier. The top two in the Florida regional was a Water Lorraine player. So definitely some cool like off meta stuff happening.
Yeah.
Me and Kel were lucky enough to cast a Tamer mirror in like round 4. It's just like people playing not the two decks that we expected everybody to be playing. So.
Listen, anyone playing Sylvie in a store championship, I applaud you.
A regional,
even bigger.
Yeah,
I applaud you. Good job for staying strong, because I am weak and I am playing Lorraine at our store championship.
Yeah,
Whew. Could not bring myself to play something weird.
So yeah, we had our store championship.
It
was last weekend.
Yeah, we had 12 people.
It was 12 people, which is not huge, but like pretty good for the area. We're happy to get bodies in the store, and hopefully each subsequent one will get bigger, right? I mean,
Right.
We've started that way with more than a few games where we started with these like 10, 12 people, and then as the game ages and as our community grows, we build that up to get much bigger events. But so it was a cool event. We cut to top 4. Steve made top 4.
I did. I got 4th place, unfortunately. I lost. I went 3-1 with Fire Lorraine, and I lost to the same person twice who was on Fire Xander. It's just a faster deck.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I think it's sweet. That's
it is very cool, yeah.
Gildas and woodland squirrels.
Yeah.
Very, very silly.
Yeah, it's very silly, but hey, when you're like, I'm going to get there because I have 3 deflecting edges in your hand, and then they say, it has a Gildas sound. And
Here's just 4 damage every turn. You're like, well, this isn't efficient for me
to, yep, nope, that's not great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And then our eventual winner was Mark. You guys know Mark. He's been on the show a couple of times.
Yeah.
Our very own Mark took down the event. So happy that Lineage Break took home one of our store championship cards. I was not able to play, unfortunately. So we are going to a couple over the next couple of weeks. You're going to 2 this weekend, right?
Yep, I'm going to Hobby Haven on Sunday, and tomorrow Unison Games in Connecticut.
Good folks down there. So we'll be cutting our teeth playing in our store championships, hopefully getting our invite cards to nationals. So what we wanted to do today before FTC comes out, which at the time of recording is impending. It's like a couple of weeks. I expect to hear about it from my distributor any day now. As we're just a couple of weeks out. I've even seen like some content creators, like I know RCR got sent a box of Fractured Crown, which is like super cool. Yeah. So the product is out in the wild. It exists. It's real. We've made it. Feels like it's been
second box.
So long. So with Fractured Crown right around the corner, we wanted to take today's episode to talk about Dawn of Ashes for the last time, the final Dawn of Ashes.
We're going to lay this format to rest.
Put it down where it belongs. And we not so much like, what do you think's good? What are you taking to the tournament? Because we've talked about that ad nauseum, and by the time most of you are going to be watching this, a lot of the store champs and regionals are going to be over, right? We have some more this weekend. I know that Yeti's regionals is tomorrow. But we wanted to talk a little bit about the format, how we feel about it, things that we liked, things that we didn't like, sort of, a retrospective on our time with Dawn of Ashes, which has been longer than most.
Yeah, 8 months.
Yeah, we've been playing this format for a long time, and even us who we love Grand Archive so much, and we make this show, and we're very happy to do so, but it's hard not to get burnt out, right? After 8 months of playing, the same set of 250 cards, I think we're really ready to play some new stuff.
I was telling Cam that after this weekend, I'm done with store championships, a win or not, just because we need to start grinding for FTC, for Ascent, and it's just not a lot of time left.
That's the dream. Is that you and I get an invite this weekend so we can just
focus,
stop worrying about it, and focus on FTC, especially with Ascent right around the corner. But so Steve, why don't you start us off? How do you feel? How is looking at things holistically over the past 8 months? Because the game has evolved, quite a few times.
I don't know, man. It's been a wild ride, right? It feels like in the beginning of DOA, pre-release, it was Rye, right?
Yeah.
Big old Rye sitting up at top. No one could take it down. And then all of the community was like, what about aggro? And we've just had one aggro deck after another. And as a person who's a control player and a mid-range player, the last couple months have been rough for me to want to play because I'm not an aggro player.
Right.
That being said, I've played a lot of Xander and had a lot of fun with a lot of other decks, but it seems that the meta had been found and Rain and Xander, like aggro Xander, were the ways to play. And I mean, that's cool. It was fun. I'm ready for a change of pace, though.
Yeah, it's been an interesting ride, as far as we've been playing the game. Close to the beginning, and we weren't like the first people, obviously.
Right.
We missed the Kickstarter. We've talked about that a lot of times, but we've been around for as long as there's been like tournaments on Discord and stuff like that, and so I think it's a real testament to maybe it's because the game is small. Of course, I can't give too much credit to those weebs of the shore because. Like I said, we got to be a little bit,
This guy over here. This guy over here.
But, maybe it's because the game is small or I don't know, what have you. But it's a real testament to the game that over the 8 months that we've been playing Dawn of Ashes, it's really evolved so many times. Like you said, when we first started, like Erupting Rhapsody Rye was... this boogeyman deck, and but part of that I guess is due to the existence of Nullifying Lantern, like at the time not being there yet, as that was only printed in Alter. But we went from it's strange how I feel like the trajectory of most card games, right, is that aggro is the easiest to figure out. Like people always figure out the aggro deck first, and then as a format matures, the game any game tends to slow down and trend more towards the control decks once they become sort of optimized, right? It's much harder to optimize a slower control deck than it is to just put all of the best aggro threats into a deck and go vroom, right? But I think oddly about Grand Archive and Dawn of Ashes specifically is that we've taken sort of the opposite trajectory where the first deck that we were really scared of was this, combo Fire Rye deck, which, to be fair, I do think was pretty easy to put together. You just put Erupting Rhapsody and Ember Song and a bunch of fire cards into the deck and you're done, right? But then after that, we had this short bout where, Water Lorraine and Water Xander were picking up a whole lot of steam as these sort of like hard control decks, and it was really hard for people to shut those down. And then we had, Limelight, shout out to our friend from Creative Shock, sort of discovered this Wind Lorraine Ferrari deck that we were also, familiar with, this, Spiritblade Ascension, Sword of Avarice stuff, which, for the first few months of the game, people weren't even thinking about, which,
Right.
It's wild to me how powerful that combo is that nobody was even, touching it. Obviously, our brains aren't big enough, but we had to assume that somebody was. But
Right.
So Lime figured that out, and that deck picked up so much steam, and it still, has that to this day. But even past that, we got to a point where now, I think widely regarded as like, the staple of the format is Fire Lorraine, which, does that same sort of thing, but a little bit faster, has a little bit more card consistency with all of the fire tools. So it feels crazy to me that, over the span of as long as we've been playing this format, that it's evolved so many times. And I do think that is a testament to, how the game is designed, that the deck building wasn't, just solved immediately, because this game, just doesn't feel like anything else, right? A lot of games you can take parallels from something like Magic or Hearthstone or whatever, and it makes deck building easier because the games parallel each other so much. But since Grand Archive is so different, I think that's why it took so long for people to find out what's good. But that long-winded monologue aside, I think you and I feel very similarly, where we're not aggro players at heart, and I know that Silidar has said on the Discord that they made aggro good on purpose because they didn't want the first set to have this like control heavy meta, because that's not a great feeling for new players, and I can understand where they're coming from on that.
No, that makes sense.
But here's where we get to the the bad. I don't think that this format particularly feels great either, especially for new players. We have, we've had some people that, play at our locals and have tried the game, that it's really hard to get away from the sort of non-decision making that a lot of these decks sort of tend to lead to. Decks like Fire Lorraine and Wind Lorraine are not particularly decision-dense decks, it feels like. They get to at a high level, and especially in like the mirror match, but when you're playing against decks that don't operate at the same power level that Fire and Wind Lorraine do, they just get to either flood the board with, the most efficient creatures in the game, or play these giant, attacks like Rending Flames and Devastating Blows. It's always on your opponent to solve the issue, and not so much on the Lorraine player to, outskill you. They just sort of play their big threat, and it's on your opponent to deal with it. And for a lot of decks, that's really hard to do, especially when you get into the level 3 space where these Lorraine players just, hit level 3, draw 12 cards, pass. Feels like such an insurmountable advantage to get over. So that part hasn't felt great. I think that's why a lot of us have become sort of burnt out on Dawn of Ashes, because we've been playing it for so long. I don't know that is going to remain as oppressive as it feels right now, the sort of Avarice Ascension stuff.
Well, I don't think it will, because we're getting a lot of tools in Fractured
Right.
Ground to Tithe of Proclamation. Good luck drawing your 15 cards when you can only draw 3 a turn.
Right. Yeah. That's my hope, and I want to be optimistic. Like we said, we haven't done a whole lot of FTC testing yet.
Right. But I'm staying optimistic, because I really want the meta to shift.
Right.
And as just not even because I'm not an aggro player, or not even because I want mid range to be doing well, but just because I just don't want to I don't know. I don't want the same decks to just keep being good, right? Right. Give another champion or give another deck the opportunity to do well.
Right.
Because the last 2 months, it's oh, are you playing Lorraine?
Right. It's 9 out of 10 times it's true, right? It's tough, right? The game is so small, and with just the single set of Dawn of Ashes, there's only, 4 real champions, and then of course our 4 Lineage break champions that are some of them are okay, but they weren't meant to be supported archetypes. They were printed for draft in mind, right? So when you're looking at this theoretical 4 hero format, it's not unsurprising that one is better than the others, and so you see that a lot. And so it's going to be difficult through Fractured Crown, where we're in that same space. The card pool is bigger, but we're still a 4 champion spread for the most part. We get Merlin, so I guess we're a 5 champion spread. But the only thing that I worry about is sort of the Erupting Rhapsody problem, right? Where the Erupting Rhapsody decks, they got the Band-Aid, the Nullifying Lantern Band-Aid, right? This deck isn't oppressive anymore because here's your counterplay. But the way that those Erupting Rhapsody decks play now is they just play, main deck removal for the Band-Aid, right? So you play your Nullifying Lantern, they play a Spurn to Ash, then they just go on, living their life. And so I hope, like I said, we're being optimistic, and we haven't tested FTC, so a lot of this is definitely unfounded. But the worry that I have is that that's what Lorraine ends up doing, right? She's like, okay, well, I'll Spurn to Ash your Tithe of Proclamation, I'll draw 15 cards, go ahead. I worry about this sort of Avarice engine being too good to just give up because your opponent's going to play a sideboard card for it, which means that, again, we get into this spot where, that becomes the thing to do, right? But I think that we need a lot more, FTC testing before we can say that's the case, but that's the only worrying thing that I came out of DOA. That a lot of these sort of Avarice decks specifically feel kind of oppressive, I think.
Yeah.
Even we were talking about the regionals this weekend, and shout out to Nick for making top 2 with Water Lorraine at the Florida regional, but even still, it's a shell that is different, and so it's cool to see something different, but they're still hitting level 3, drawing those 12 cards, right? That's just what those decks are designed to do. Mm-hmm. And, so what I really hope is that moving away from this format, we get to see some underplayed decks, stuff like Sylvie and Xander, but also, I hope that Lorraine gets to sort of express herself a little bit better, right? And get to branch off into different directions and not have to be this, crux Ascension deck. Maybe there is a more aggressively slanted, tribal humans deck. Caben, who's a great creator in our game, made top 4 at regionals with a Lorraine deck that wasn't even playing a level 3, right? So I think that sort of stuff is cool, that she, as an archetype, Lorraine, can sort of hopefully spread her wings a little bit and become, a little bit more diverse than 40 cards and then the same end game, right? But that's the doom and gloom aside.
Yeah.
We very much have enjoyed our time with Dawn of Ashes. We can't say that we haven't.
Yeah, no.
The only reason this show exists, right? Is
because we love the game so much. Yeah. And now we have that bright future on the horizon where not only do we have FTC to look forward to in the coming weeks, but, we're only a couple more months away from the third set and the other 3 heroes. So, it's going to be a whole new world once that happens,
Yeah, I'm just now... I guess I should ask. I know that Ascent Auckland is December 3rd and 2nd. Is that going to be...
I think it's
pre set 3?
Yeah,
okay.
I think it's going to be FTC.
Because I assume it's right around that time.
I would assume... Well, they said December, right? So I'm assuming mid-December, like all of the other sets have been.
Right.
We got DOA mid-May.
I think so, yeah.
And then,
Alter, yeah.
Oh, yeah, Alter, mid-May. And then now we're getting Fractured Crown mid-August.
Right.
So I'm assuming mid-December.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll be getting...
we don't know yet. We know the set code. I think it's ALC. Is the set code.
But we don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very very pumped to find out anything about Guardian, Cleric, and Ranger. Right, like.
Yeah, I'm hoping, and I'm sure this isn't a controversial opinion, is that they announced that at Ascent Houston, at the conclusion of day 2, they're going to do a little panel with the devs about the future of Grand Archive, and so I'm hoping that they give us a little tease, maybe, I don't know, give us a little tease of set 3.
What Cam is really saying is that he hopes that when we get to Ascent Houston and on day 2 at the little press conference that they announce that Cleric is a girl.
Well, see, this is, we've put, by the way, before I go off on this tangent, if you guys are looking to go to Ascent Houston, you don't have tickets yet, here at Lineage Break, we are giving away a steel ticket and a silver ticket, and that giveaway does close on FTC launch day on August 25th. And we'll probably talk about it on the show that week, who won, et cetera, but make sure to go check that out. I'll leave it a link in the description for our giveaway. But see, now I've put them between a rock and a hard place, right? Where I've made such a big stink about this new Cleric champion being a girl that if they announce it at Houston, and I'm in the room and it's not a cute girl, ooh. I'm going to be, sprinting up on stage like a maniac.
Watch out for flying chairs that Cam is throwing at the stage.
Yeah, just causing a scene, So either we're going to have a great time or they're not going to let me in that room when they do the presentation.
Yeah, we're going to walk up and
sir, I'm going to have you wait outside.
There's just a guy there with the clipboard. He's like, Lineage Break? You guys can't come in. There's just like a square that says Lineage Break, and there's like 4 armed guards around it. Right. Like, you guys have to stand here.
You have to stand here. We'll watch you.
You can see the announcement, but you can't.
Here's the stream. So yeah, super exciting stuff. We did love DOA, and it's a great place to start. But I think all in all, we're happy to be moving on.
Yeah, and I think just to reiterate the fact that we just really love this game, so we've played a lot of it,
right?
So like us saying that it's stale, like you have to understand, like we've played like every week multiple times
for 8 months.
Yeah, so like it's just a lot, and like at this point we're just like, yeah, we love the game, but like it's time, and we are so excited for it.
But we finally feel close enough, which is great. I think last month was a little bit hard. And just because like we were too far from FTC, and also like we didn't even have store championships and regionals to worry about last month. So at least this month, like for the next couple of weeks, we have events to think about and to plan for. And then as soon as those are over, like literal days after the last store championship in our area, we get FTC. So we're super excited to start trying stuff and start casting fucking Frostbinds, baby.
Woo! Literally after like 6 p.m. on this Sunday, I'm just
Done.
I'm done.
Done.
I have a
Done.
stack of proxies to cut out for FTC, and I'm just getting into the kitchen, baby.
I'm putting 4 Frostbinds into, decks and figuring out the other 56 cards.
Cam is just playing water for the rest of the eternity.
Yep, that is so true.
Yeah.
So true, friend.
I don't know what I'm playing, actually. I kind of want... I'm not going to spoil it.
There's lots of things to test, and hopefully, we'll
the thing that I'm testing, I'm probably playing at Ascent, so I don't want to talk too much about it.
We'll have some spicy stuff, and maybe we find some super secret deck, but you can assume that if you're playing against me at Ascent Houston, you're going to get frostbinded on turn 1.
Yeah, and hope that feels good for you.
Feels good for me. All right, so I think that's all we have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you guys are looking for tickets to Ascent, make sure to... check out that link in the description.
Like, follow, and subscribe.
Like, follow, subscribe. Smash that notification bell.
Yeah, we gotta do the titular YouTube
I don't know.
thing.
Hit the button. Hit X amount % of you are not subscribed.
We don't know the statistics, but I'm sure that a bunch of you that are watching don't like and subscribe this, and I know a bunch of you that are watching. Personally, and I know you don't know anything we're talking about, but you're doing it to support me, and I appreciate you.
And you know what? So when it comes down to the end of the day, right? We like all of you.
Correct.
And why don't you like us?
Right?
All right.
You interact with us. We interact with you. Just like and subscribe.
Hit the button. It's free. Yeah. We're leaving. We'll see you next week.
Have a good one, guys.